What up, watch peeps? As a guy who gets tired of seeing the same old case profiles and dial colors, I love when someone brings a new idea and a fresh look to the table. And don't think for a second that the crown at 9 o'clock is the only new idea on offer with this one. What else is there? Let's find out. I'm Pete, and we are Chillin' with Watches. Where's Jack? Wearing the Tudor Ranger on a canvas clover strap. Really awesome strap, but this combo is killing it. This whole color palette on display here is just really working for me. But let's see what's going on inside this sweet pouch. You know, I do love a good watch pouch, and this is one of the cooler ones I've seen. Kind of has that, I don't know, like old military messenger bag look to it. It's got like some slots for IDs on the back as well. And inside you'll find your warranty card, but most importantly, you will find the biotic Formicidae. I think that is how you pronounce it. I did have to Google it. I believe it is Formicidae. And this is a kind of Alpinist dual crown style explorer or field watch. The brand is, their watches are inspired by nature, hence the name Biotic. Specifically, this watch is inspired by ants. Formicidae is the family to which ants belong. Now, colors, these come in this killer brown dial I have here, but there is also a red, and there's black, and there is also a green dial. Now these, they listed as a 39mm watch, and I believe that is about right. It's kind of hard to find a place where you should measure, but if you do measure from like inside the lug, top to bottom, you do get exactly 39mm. And these are going for $3.99, currently active on Kickstarter. They'll be going up to a full retail of $5.99 after that. For me, the first time I laid eyes on this dial, it just gave me the impression of quality. All the depth and the precision of the different elements looks really well designed and executed. I think their font choices are fine, although script is always a little hard to read, like the Formicidae here at 6 o'clock. And they also have a 6 o'clock trapezoid date window, which is, I think, a very attractive date window. Great choice there, and it is color matched to the dial and lume, as you can see. So we have the central portion of the dial is kind of like an upside down pie pan. Then you have the minute track with longer markers at 3, 6, 9, and 12 that extend into that pie pan. And that is one of the little design elements that I just think looks really cool on this watch. Now the hands are a great choice. Simple but functional, still good looking. Again, using old radium lume, which I think is the same as is on the markers. Now, I do think the minute hand could have maybe come just a bit short of the minute track there, and they could have kept the seconds hand the way it is, overlapping that minute track and coming right up to the edge of that internal bezel. I think that all looks really cool. And for that inner bezel, what we have is a screw down crown over here at 9 o'clock. Once it disengages from the threads, you are then controlling that internal bezel, and if you push in, you'll see it to screw down, it disengages. It is weird to have to screw it in the other direction. I always get messed up by Destro crowns. But yeah, real nice action on it. It's very easy to turn once it drops off the threads, and once you push in, disengages. No problems locking it into place. Works really well. And I think that one's actually loomed with old radium at the cardinal points, but the in-between directions are done, and if you can tell how they're like a little more white, they are done in BGW9, and we'll take a look at that at the end. Now all of that sits under a flat sapphire crystal with an inner AR coating. Now for the outer fixed bezel, you'll see instead of just a flat chamfer, it is actually like kind of scalloped or scooped out, done on a curve there, and it is a bead blasted finish, which brings me to one of the things I had a hard time getting my head around is this whole watch case and strap bracelet are finished in a combination of brushed and bead blast. You know, you see brushed and polished combos all the time. You see even occasional bead blast and polished combos, but I don't think I've ever seen bead and brush. But once I got used to it, I kind of dig the combination. So I want to talk real quick about some of the ant-inspired design elements going on this watch. I think some of the more subtle ones, and I don't even know if this is intended, but this 3, 9, 12 o'clock markers, how they're kind of inset in the pie pan, those kind of remind me of ant mandibles, I guess is what it is. But what's really the real mandible kind of inspired feature here, I think, are these kind of grooves cut into the case sides, and they give an overall shape to the case that's really smooth and organic. And I think you see kind of those scalloped cutaways kind of recreated in the bezel there, again, giving it more of an organic and less of a geometric feel. But what is geometric and I love are these octagon, that's right, 8-sided crowns. I think they are just really cool, well done. This brown color is called Carpenter, as for carpenter ants, and each of the different colors has a different kind of ant-inspired color theme as well. So that's kind of scooped out shape you have on the bezel. You'll see that kind of motif again here in the case sides as they are kind of scooped out as well. Has a really nice, cool effect, all bead blasted in those positions, brushed on top to match that kind of brush in the end link. But then you'll see these kind of mid links are blasted. So really neat combination of bead blast and brush finishing. So both of these crowns come in at a nice chunky 6.5 millimeters, real easy to grip and manipulate. And they are both signed, and both signed with a different logo. So I'll pop those up on the screen here so you can get a closer look at those. They're pretty cool. Flipping it over to check out the case back, you'll see it has this kind of semi-see-through case back, but what you also see is it has a quick release bracelet, so we're going to go ahead and pop that off and make this a little easier to look through. So what we have is a tinted sapphire crystal with its kind of super cool image on it. I know people are going to gripe about making a see-through case back and then covering it up. I get it, but I also don't need a killer review of a Miyota 9015. I've seen it before. So for me, this is more of a cool new alternative to an engraved caseback than it is a, display caseback that you can't see through. I dig it. All right, so looking at those end links that I just disconnected there, besides quick release, what you'll see is that they are also female and that they are solid. They are also 20 millimeter and dropping into this super cool H-link bracelet, which again, the H's are brushed and the in-between center links are bead blasted. Takes a little bit to get used to, but in the end, it's kind of a way to give contrasting finishes to something that has a really tool watch kind of non-shiny finish to it. It's really cool once you get used to it. Now the taper goes from 20 at the end links down to 18 at the clasp. Honestly, I think it could use 2 more millimeters of taper. Some heavy watches with 20 millimeter lugs need only a 2 millimeter taper to keep some weight in the bracelet to counterbalance a heavier watch head. But I don't think that's the case here. I don't think they needed the heavier bracelet. I think it could have went down to 16. But what they have is, so this best style of clasp, on the fly adjust clasp, is only being done by Chris Ward, Zelos, and now apparently Biotic. So what they have is that little slide switch so you get your on the fly micro adjust here. And this is really just the best way I've ever seen this done. It's unobtrusive. You don't hit it by accident ever. It has a really nice range to it, and it's super easy to use. But I've never seen these in anything smaller than 18 millimeter. The first person who figures out how to make this in a 16 millimeter clasp, they are going to win the bracelet game. This guy seems to have settled in at a very acceptable 9 or plus 10 seconds per day fast, healthy amplitude of 282, and a negligible beat are nothing to worry about. Good runner all in all. Going over the dimensions, we are looking at a 39 millimeter case. Where is it 39? Well, it's 39 from in between the lugs at the bottom of the case here to in between the lugs at the bottom of the case here. This fixed bezel itself is 38 millimeters on the outside. So what does it wear like? It wears like a 39. Comes in at 46.7 millimeters from lug to lug and 11.6 millimeters thick. Again, it has 20 millimeter lug width. Going over some of the other specs, it has a flat sapphire crystal with an inner AR coating. Uses a combination of old radium and BGW9 between the hands, the dial, and that inner rotating bezel. It is running a Miyota 9015 movement, and it has 200 meters of water resistance. Now on the bracelet size for my 7 1/4 inch wrist, it came in at 159 grams. And here is how it wears on my 7 1/4 inch wrist. I think you can see those mandible inspired lugs and how they kind of hug the wrist shape, sit real close to the wrist. And again, that organic look to the whole watch just makes for a really nice wearing experience. I think it's a really nice size watch at 39 millimeters. And here's how it compares to the 38 millimeter Van Banner AO. Definitely wears like a little bit larger of a watch. I'd say if anything, the Van Banner wears maybe a little bit smaller than its 38. This wears pretty true to its 39. It has a little bit more going on, especially with the 2 crowns. Just gives it a little bit more presence. Moving up a little bit, here is the 41 millimeter Tudor Ranger. Now the Ranger is definitely a larger watch. Wears, I'd say about a millimeter larger than the 39 millimeter Biotic. And I think that is due to the fact that it is mostly dial with a really thin bezel. And lastly, here is how it compares to a Seiko SKX as our benchmark. Obviously, the SKX is a bigger watch in a different style. Also much thicker. And, the Seiko wears a little smaller than its 42.5 millimeters. And I think, again, the Biotic is pretty true to its 39 millimeter size. Maybe a 40 with the crowns. All right, last thing, let's take a look at that Lume.
Keep the Lume.
There you go. Check it out. Old radium is always a really nice, bright Lume. Not quite C3, but pretty dang close. And here you can see in between the north, south, east, and west, how they are done in blue, BGW9. I love the effect of a lumed bezel when it's rotating in the dark. Yeah, really nice Lume on this. The green parts are super bright. The BGW9, not quite as much, but still perfectly legible, no problems whatsoever. So there you go, the Biotic Formicidae. I think if you're a fan of the Alpinist, you'll appreciate this fun take on the style. I think they have an inspiration that's new, it's well incorporated into their design, and they have some really cool dial colors that aren't Skittles. We should all embrace this kind of thinking and this kind of blueprint. So go check it out, let's get them backed. All right, before I let you guys go, sneaker check. I'm just wearing my old blue Vans because I do have a couple new pairs on the way. All right, that's it. I'm out. If it's not too much trouble, please like, subscribe, and come back next time. Peace.